think he's working way too many hours.
Way too many hours.
Well, you got to enjoy life a little bit, you know.
Yeah, actually went on a big bike ride yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you beat your body up, you don't take care of your body. How you gonna do anything else?
I don't know.
Everything else is like doesn't even matter.
Not at the end of the day, because when you die, like they say, not able to take it with you.
That's right. Today we're gonna have two guests. We're gonna have a Dr. Joel Stalks. He's a doctor of dentistry. He's gonna discuss how to help veterans. Maybe give us a discount or something.
That'd be cool.
And we're going to have Victoria Seaman, who's a Nevada State Assemblywoman, and she's running for Nevada State Senate District 6.
I'm excited about talking with her. She's one of the good ones.
She's not satisfied with Assembly. She's got to get promoted.
You know what? if it straightens out the state, I'm all for it.
Very cool. So you. Folks, we are back. This is Steve Sanson and Troy Warren with Veterans in Politics. We have live Victoria Seaman, who's a current Nevada State Assemblywoman and candidate for Nevada State Senate District number 6.
Happy New Year, Steve.
Happy New Year,
Good to see
Assemblywoman.
you.
How you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah, you look glowing. What's going on with you? Was Santa good to you this year or last year?
I think so.
Cool. Santa's got to be good. Look at that glow she has. Troy.
I know. It's just beaming.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I know. It's like the moon just hitting right off of you.
It's going to be a great year.
Yeah. So what's your plan? Tell us a little about you.
Well, I am the Assemblywoman for District 34, former businesswoman.
Former businesswoman?
Former businesswoman. I do real estate now, but mainly I'm campaigning for Senate District 6. I'm actually the only elected running in Senate 6.
Okay.
It was a district that Mark Hutchinson was the senator, and he won the lieutenant governorship, and there was an appointee there, and there was also an appointee in West Duncan's seat in the other half of the assembly that encompasses Senate 6. So 2 appointees and myself, and now it's an open seat, and I've decided to run for it. Was a little disenchanted with some of the legislation that was done last session, and decided that in my district, which is Assembly District 34, and the other half of Senate 6, which is 37, really voted down that margins tax. And I voted against it with the people. And I saw that we did some things in legislature that was kind of against the people's will.
Okay.
Kind of?
Kind of, yeah. To say it mildly.
Yeah.
Well, Troy told me before the program that he wants to ask most of the questions towards you.
Well, not all of them.
So I'm gonna let Troy.
Sure.
Well, I just want to talk about the margins tax.
Okay.
Like how did that come to fruition when it was an 80 to 20% vote? We voted it down.
But before you finish, Troy, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay.
But I just want to give the Assemblywoman full disclosure about you, because she might not know everything there is to know about you. Okay? Now, Troy Warren is the cousin of Derek Armstrong, the current Assemblyman.
Interesting.
But their views are extremely different.
Right. And I think their views might have been the same when Derek was running
Absolutely
for
it was.
office, because he was a big proponent against raising taxes. So, I saw a lot of people go up to Carson City that made promises and they just didn't keep them. And that is really the reason that I'm running for Senate 6 is because there are so few of us that made promises to our constituents and kept them. Yeah. And if people, they're disillusioned, these elected officials, to think that people, they don't really know, they don't understand, and they can spin it any way they want. Yeah. They can change the name to a commerce tax.
Or Nevada Veterans in Politics and say it's a different name. And,
change the name.
Stuff like that.
Change the
If
name.
it walks like a duck, sounds like a duck.
Absolutely. But people understand what happened. I've been walking the district in Senate 6 since November. And people are angry. And that's why you see people coalescing to Trump and to Ted Cruz, Senator Cruz, because they're fed up with establishment elected officials and candidates that go up and promote their own agenda and think about their next election and go
Instead
along
of the
to
people.
get along instead of what the people. I mean, like you just said, 80% of the people voted against this tax. 80%. It wasn't a 50-50, 60-40. 80% of the state of Nevada. So we changed the name and pass it through because, the legislators think they know better than the people.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
A handful of legislators compared to all the people who voted. And this was on... This was Governor Sandoval's agenda, and I don't think he expected a Republican majority in the state offices and all the houses. And when that's what he received after the election, he should have gone back and kind of...
Well, based on results, he didn't get very many Republicans. He got a bunch of Democrats because they just shoved it right down the throats of small business, and then he just gave another big deal to Faraday.
We're still talking about the margin tax, right?
Yeah, we're still talking about the margins tax because Faraday is a big part of that.
It is a big deal, and it's going to be a big deal this election. And people can get a hold of this little booklet that I brought. It's the 2015 Nevada Legislative Session Review and Report Card from Nevada Policy Research Institute.
Are you giving that to us?
I'll give it to you guys.
Could you give it to Troy?
I'll get you one too.
Okay.
But it'll really talk about how both Republicans and Democrats voted in this last session, but the big surprise is what happened with the Republicans. Okay. And to show you how far the establishment will go is they are actually asking Assemblyman Irv Nelson to resign his seat in District 5, and he was one that voted for the margins tax, and have him move over to Senate 6 to run against me.
Wow.
And, the sad part is that you wonder if that's why the Senate killed my election law reform bill, that, we tried to say, people should live in their district more than 30 days just so they, can represent the people of that district and get to know the area.
How come before they raise taxes on the constituents, they don't do a forensic audit? I give an example. Like when the police department wanted the more cops bill. Okay, and they wanted to increase sales tax to hire more cops. Why didn't somebody say, hey, let's do a forensic audit on the Metropolitan Police Department to see if there's any wasteful spending, if any programs are duplicated, before you start raising taxes. And let's see where the money is going first.
Exactly, and that's what should be done. That's what we should start with. A zero-based budget is what we should do. We shouldn't just say, well, we spent this much last year, so we're going to need this much and this much more. And that's why it's so important in this next election, from the president on down, Senate, Congress, U.S., and all the state elections, to really vote in people who are public servants. Let me repeat that. Public servants.
What does that mean, public servant?
People who are serving the public and really care about the community. And, and again, that's why people are coalescing to these candidates for president that are not establishment, that, and not just Republicans, but Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents. Those people are the ones. I mean, everyone is wanting to see establishment out, and people that actually want to make, like Trump said, America great again.
Yeah, because one of the things that when they passed this margins tax or commerce tax, whatever you want to call it, the one thing that I didn't hear about, because a lot of it had to do with education in the state, and that was the biggest reason why I ran, is because I'm tired of what's going on with education in the state. I never once heard for a forensic of the school district from top down. Right. Because there's over 400 employees in the administrative level that make over six figures a year. Why? I actually looked at the stat on that. They have a roofing supervisor, whatever the heck that means. And he's making six figures a year with an unbelievable retirement. Why? Why are we not calling for that? Does that get stonewalled up there? Does that even get brought up?
Well, when the governor brought forth his budget, and we had a leadership. Ira Hansen, if you remember, Assemblyman Hansen was our leader, and they went after him and tried to pull up everything they could, put things in the press so that he would actually stepped down, and they were even thinking of putting together a nuclear option to get, in the assembly with the Democrats in order for him to step down. And eventually he did step down. And the bottom line is the leadership in the assembly controls everything. So your Senate leadership and your assembly leadership had control to literally not hear bills, like you're saying, get an audit done. We didn't see that with our leadership. In fact, there were many caucus meetings of the fiscal conservatives where we went through the budget. We went to see how much money was being wasted and spent. It fell on deaf ears until you have people. And like I said, the leadership controls everything. That was why the big fight over leadership once the election, once you had the new elected officials, and our caucus had the big fight for 3 or 4 months for leadership, because basically leadership does control what gets heard, what goes on the floor. Your speaker in the assembly has all the power, and your Senate majority leader, which was Michael Roberson, who's now running for Congress. These are the people that controlled basically everything that happened in the assembly. We still had our votes, we still had our voices, but basically, they were going to try to get the votes for that commerce tax. And eventually people like Assemblyman Derek Armstrong, Assemblyman Irv Nelson, decided that they were going to go with the governor and go against the people and vote for.
Well, then what it sounds like to me, because one of the things I ran on when I ran for Assembly District 12 in 14 was to go through and look at, what laws are on the books. Maybe we need to get rid of some. It sounds like now we need to do a cleaning of the house, not only cleaning of the house and elect some new people up into our state legislature, but it sounds like we need to do some revamping on how work gets done up there so we can actually talk about the issues instead of who's doing who's padding whose pockets, right, and where what can I do to get to my next level in government?
Again, and the only way you're going to do that is people need to vote out those who are perpetuating their own agenda. They're thinking about their next election, and look at people's voting records and elect those who are actually public servants, who are doing it because I want to make a difference. I'm going to go against the governor because I think that this people 80-20 voted this down. Yes, and there was threats. There was you name it happened up in Carson City. There were people in your office every day, but
There's investigations, there were indictments, but there were 10 assembly members and 3 senators who stood by the people and voted against that margins tax.
Man, I don't even know where to go after that because now I'm really irritated. But when it was passed, how was the money divided up for the school districts? I mean, do you just give them a lump sum? Do they get to figure out? Are there any safeguards in place so that I know that my money is going to the kids? There's not. I didn't think there was.
The margins tax was all new programs. So you're talking about Zoom schools, Victory schools, ELL, all day kindergarten, all day preschool, all day there's all day. Now we're providing food all day for the children. So this particular tax, the margins tax, went to these special programs. Now there is accountability in place. To me, I didn't see it. I see we'll be having to feed these programs, continually feed them more and more and more money. You guys know when you make government bigger, you just have to keep feeding it.
Okay. Steve, you got anything?
He's all upset now.
Sorry to come in and depress you guys.
Happy New Year.
No,
because here's the truth. That's, like I said, that's the reason why I ran. And, because one of the things that first came out was we're not going to give our teachers a raise. And I'm like, we just passed $1 billion thing. Why aren't we giving our teachers a raise?
Yeah, teachers are getting screwed.
Yeah, they are.
But yet we're paying a roofing guy a 6-figure salary.
Well, the teachers always get the short end of the stick. That's the sad part. But that's why you saw such a division in the Republican Party, and that is why every single person who voted for that margins tax is going to have a primary, including Assemblyman Armstrong, because people are, people understand what's happened. People are fed up. And again, you just have to look at the mood across the country, tired of establishment, and see where this election is going to go. So I urge everyone to do their research and find out who is just going along to get along and voting for unnecessary programs and bigger government.
So this Faraday thing, were you for or were you against that?
Here's the thing about Faraday. I was real concerned when the bills came forward because with the Tesla deal, they have not kept up to where they need to be. As far as they're supposed to have, 1,200 employees now, they have 25. The Faraday deal was a little bit different, and the Faraday deal actually created an escrow account where this company coming in has to put money into an escrow account. Let me just put it to you this way. When the bills first came to us, I had a lot of concerns. I voiced them in our caucus meetings. I would not support it unless I saw the bill change quite a bit. I ended up supporting it because this is what we're doing across the country. We're competing instead of lowering taxes across the country.
Which is what we should do.
We are competing with other states to create jobs. So once the bill, I was assured by the different entities and different, we all came together and that the bill was going to not put taxpayers on the hook. I then supported it. I did make a speech about my concerns about how we're doing business instead of the way we should be doing business. But in the end, I supported it, and I'm comfortable with it.
Okay. Well, Assemblywoman, we're running out of time. Like always, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Could you give us your point of contact?
Yes. My website is victoriaseaman.com. And my phone number is 702-466-0407. That's my personal cell number.
Could I call it like at 2 a.m?
No.
Okay.
You can. I won't answer it. But thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Assemblywoman. That's Assemblywoman Victoria Seaman, who's a candidate for Nevada State Senate, District 6. Take a look at her website, and you be the judge. Be an educated voter before you go to the polls. This is Steve Sanson, Troy Warren, Veterans in Politics. Until next week.